So right now I end up just pulling a list and then like I manually email everybody myself. And that takes a long time. Right, every single one. I had a template, but I was like, I end up changing the template a lot because you want to put that custom data in there. Like, and we had to send out a notification about like site maintenance or changes in savings rates, stuff like that. I have to have one of the engineers pull an email list for us. Like, I just want a video that shows me different topics I should be able to query. And people really, really underestimate behavioral change.
Anywhere in particular you want to start, or you want to start with just like the challenges you're facing day to day on objectives?
One is getting a clear picture of who is using the product and how are they using it, because I need to focus on adoption that didn't happen during onboarding and try and find ways to increase that. And one of the hard parts is there are individuals who fall into different categories. There's a set it and forget it type of user that I've experienced. It. They just want to set it up and let it go. They don't want to log in and see things every day. Then there are users who are power users who are logging in every day and seeing what's happening. And they give a lot of feedback and have a lot of support questions, usually because they're users. And then the third bucket is people who didn't adopt, and they may log in. And there's different ways you could define not adopting. It could be a particular user didn't adopt, or you're not getting full company adoption. And the challenge with that is there are not very good objective indicators of who's going to fall into which bucket. You can't solely or blindly rely on number of tickets generated. And we ran into this at Rudderstack because if they are generating tickets, they're using it and they're talking to us. It doesn't always mean that they're upset. And then the same thing with logins. You can't always tell because they could be in that set it and forget it group, or they could just be not using it. And then usage is also, I think, difficult to monitor and get a very clear picture of how these people fall into these different buckets. You understand the nuance without talking to every single customer constantly, because you can't when you have hundreds or thousands of customers.
And how did you try to solve that, even if it's with humans, but how did you try to deal with the challenges, understanding the nuance, knowing whether people, what buckets they were in?
I think what we did, I mean, mainly at Rudderstack, that's where we came up with that more complicated health score to try and see where that usage was from. And so we did look at it across product usage. We looked at what was feature flagged, what was we were running off of consumption on data. So we looked at that. Then we looked at support tickets and we looked at the criticality of them. And we looked at communications. So we also had Slack channels, like how many Slack messages did they send us? And then we combined all of that into a dashboard that was just lit up by red, yellow, green to tell us what their overall score was.
Beyond just the insight, what would be the next step from that? Knowing what kind of where AI is today, anything that like you wish existed back then or that you think could be
Yes.
built today?
Yes. I think one thing that I would love to have would have been like, I think we got to the point where we could have categorized each customer about the type of outreach that we wanted. And the way we started doing it was actually a giant Excel sheet. And we would write down the next step for each CSM on how to reach out. I mean, we're basically building the same thing of what we're going to email them about. Like, what's the topic? Here's your usage. Like, we wanted to have it customized with some of that data to say, hey, we noticed your usage was down 20% last month, or hey, we noticed you don't have this feature enabled. Like, I wanted it to look at those attributes that we already collected, write a personalized email to get the customer to take action. other CS tools is they were very sentiment based. And it was a CSM reaching out with a playbook on like product adoption. And it's all very generic and it doesn't land. And you're getting hit with so many different usage emails and things like that from other vendors that there's no way to stand out. But if you get a very customized one to say, you're missing the value of this, you don't have this turned on. I see that people aren't logging in. Would you like a training? That customization would have been extremely helpful just to have like template emails that could then fill in with that usage data. So right now I end up just pulling a list and then like I manually email everybody myself. And that takes a long time.
And you're writing the emails too yourself, right?
I write every single one. I had a template, but I was like, I end up changing the template a lot because you want to put that custom data in there. We have a lot of different permission levels because of um, we're a bank account. We have HIPAA requirements on who has access to what. And being able to generate quick email lists is hard. And I don't know that everybody necessarily has the same. I can't just pick one permission and email all of those people because at orgs, like at customers, they use them differently. And so I end up wanting to just email whoever it is that's logging in the most. It could be an admin, it could be a biller, it could be a poster, but I have no way of seeing that. And so that's what I would want is to have a little bit more flexibility in being able to generate my own email list based off of different attributes. Like, and we had to send out a notification about um, like site maintenance or changes in savings rates, stuff like that. I have to have one of the engineers pull an email list for us. Right now, we've got our HubSpot email CRM, but that also includes all the prospects. It doesn't include all the users because, it's got who we sold to, but it doesn't have the 10 other people that we end up adding to the platform anyways. So all that email list in and their role is sitting in a database. This isn't necessarily well, it is my pain point, but I think it's one that founders ignore is adoption and changing someone's behavior is insanely difficult. And I think that there's probably a lot of automation that should be focused around product training. And being able to frequently show small bite-sized pieces of training to your user. Nobody has taken that approach. And the number of people who send me to their docs for support, I was like, I'm sorry, it's 2026. Why the fuck am I reading this? Like, one, no one wants to read anything. Two, it doesn't show me where stuff is. And like, I don't have time to decipher your bad engineering writing. I just want a video. Sorry. I just want a video that shows me where to click to solve this problem or show me how to use your UI. I don't have time to sit through an hour training, group training sessions, but I spend a lot of time recording videos or doing live calls with customers, just teaching them how to use the UI. And if you want to change somebody's behavior, you need to show them all of these things. And in the sales process, it's different people on the phone than the actual user. So a lot of these people that I'm training have never seen this, but they're the ones who have to use it. And if you can make their lives easier and make them want to use the tool, that's going to cut out half the battle. People use very different terminology than what you use. And so you have to have some flexibility in being able to accommodate that. And they're not going to ask the question in the way that you're expecting it, but you have to figure out what they're getting at and figure out how to help. I mean, that's like the crux of support is, and I think that's why I have such an appreciation for it because I directly answer every single one of those questions. Most of my customers now are doctors or nurses, and they're not the most tech enabled, but they are doing surgery the rest of the day. Like they don't want to get in here and deal with a billing UI. Like that's the least of their problems. And so they just have their brain power focused on something else, and you're there to make their job easier. You're not there to get in the way. Like, you're a tool. They bought you as a tool to make their life easier. They don't, their job isn't to implement your tool. And if I have to hire a consultant to do it, or if I have to have, if I have to spend honestly more than an hour having like figuring it out, I'm just not going to want to use it because it didn't help me.